Hello, and welcome back to RadioNIGP, where our theme for this month is shining a light on those not normally in the spotlight. We have some fantastic interviews for you with a broad spectrum of folks who have made some valuable contributions that impacted our profession over the years, but you may not have known of them. In addition to the traditional holiday best wishes from our trusty RadioNIGP elves, we have a special gift for you this year. As an insightful reporter once wrote, "Yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. There was also the night before Christmas." With apologies to the poem's purists everywhere, we hope that you'll come to appreciate our version.
It was the night before deadline, and all through the place, procurement professionals were hoping for competition and grace.
The solicitations were posted online with great care in hopes that the proposals would soon appear there.
All questions were answered, each one addressed, improving the likelihood of responsiveness.
Potential suppliers had labored in turn to vie for the work and award they would earn.
As the deadline drew near, there arose such a clatter. I went to my desk to see what was the matter.
Right by the window, I flew like a flash, tore open the shutters, and threw up the sash.
The moon shined brightly on the newly fallen snow and gave the appearance of objects below. When what to my wondering eyes did I see? But a team of suppliers posting deals near me.
With systems and inputs so lively and quick, I knew we'd be ready to evaluate and pick.
More rapid than eagles. The offers they came, tallied and counted, and listed by name.
Periscope, Toro, Amazon, and Cintas. Carrier, Home Depot, SCW, and DRS. Graybar, Pavilion, and Sourcewell as well. ODP Solutions, and a whole host more. The procurement professionals were ready to calculate the scores.
As leaves before the wild hurricane fly when they meet with an obstacle mount to the sky. So up to the office the procurement staff flew with a sleigh full of end users and contracts too.
And then in a twinkling, I heard in my space the chatter of end users making their case.
As I drew in my breath and heard something loud, down the hall came suppliers, all in a crowd.
They were dressed all in suits from their heads to their feet, and their clothes were all tarnished with ink stains. How neat!
A bundle of contracts they had flung on their back, and they looked like lawyers opening their pack.
Their eyes, how they twinkled, their smiles, how merry.
I expected morose, but oh, on the contrary, their dull little mouths were drawn up like a bow, and the ink in their pens was blue, so it would show.
The stump of the pen they held tight in their hands, and they signed all the contracts just like they planned.
They spoke not a word, but went straight to their work, and filled all the offices, then turned with a smirk. Laying their fingers aside their nose, giving a nod, at the elevator they rose.
They sprang to their sleigh, to their team gave a whistle, and away they all flew, like the down of a thistle. But I heard them exclaim, ere they drove out of sight, "This is Radio NIGP. Happy procurement to all, and to all a good night."
Happy holidays!
Woohoo! Woohoo!
This month on Radio NIGP, we are shining a light on the gift of procurement and highlighting a few members of the profession who are making a difference. When I was thinking about who I could shine a light on, I thought of Aaron Raz, procurement manager from the city of Westminster, Colorado. When Aaron joined the city, he was tasked with creating a centralized procurement office. It is a big job, but he has been enthusiastically up to the task. Welcome, Aaron.
Thank you, Valerie.
Great. Could you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I started in the world of procurement by coincidence. I think, as most of us have, just fell into that. I started with the state of Colorado with natural resources in P card administration. I came from Citibank years ago. So that was my bridge. Got into procurement, really loved it. From there, went to the Attorney General's office, learned a little bit about contracts, then Denver International Airport, which Denver was wanting to assign one of the general services supervisors or managers to the airport specifically to accommodate their needs. So I think that was my bridge of growing a new team at another location, if you will, that wasn't used to that. However, the airport was used to the rules, regulations of procurement, as well as the oversight of having an organization. One of my colleagues saw this posting and thought I'd be a good fit. So I went in and interviewed. Hindsight, what was interesting when I left was there was no questions really about any difficult procurements I ran. And I thought for this level in my career that there would be a lot more on procurement. Well, it turns out there's no one there who actually knew procurement, so they couldn't really ask me about any complex RFPs or any other solicitations. So it was more change management. So that's how I ended up here. It's certainly been a long road. I think when we get into a role like this, or anybody out there who might be thinking of really an organizational change, in this case, procurement, you go in with ideas. You've created policies in the past, and man, I'm going to implement this, and everybody's going to be doing this right in 6 months. And here you are 2 years later, and you're really still dealing with the daily battles of compliance.
Never.
Right. The one thing I loved about here is I have very good leadership who's championed me. The challenge is we have to be friends with everyone, right? We're playing in the sandbox together. So I can't just steamroll everybody into compliance. I think the biggest thing is really finding out what the needs of your end user are. Again, the challenge up front was everybody was so used to doing things the way they do. They feel they're being responsible. They certainly know their job. They're passionate about what they do. So one thing I love about Westminster is our staff is just absolutely amazing. Being that we had no real rules and we are a home rule city, I thought it would be a great opportunity to really start from scratch, right? So we can create a very effective program that maybe is more of a hybrid and work with our end users a little more, with always trying to keep our compass north with ethics and responsibility, but not some of the hoops that may be unnecessary. So when creating the new policies and procedures, we're constantly revising it, saying, was this actually necessary? Or can we find another way? And what is that? Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Don't be afraid to frustrate your end users, but keep them involved and just keep working it out. And don't be too stubborn to revisit that and change. I would say that's kind of the wheelhouse we're in, as the background and what I've been facing.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that you talked about the change management in your interview. They're not asking you procurement questions. They're seeing if you know how to facilitate and implement change, and that's really important. Westminster is not small by any means, and so that's pretty astute to hone in on like those principles of how do you facilitate the movement into this new centralized procurement world. It's so very, very interesting to hear that you really had to have your procurement skill set, but you had to put on your change manager hat.
No, I just want to say, it really is a change management function. And I think we should all be there. With that, the one thing I'm finding as an approach, and it's kind of where I'm at now, is where's our value? Establishing our value to an organization that has never had it to see. It's not their fault. It's just what they had to work with. So with that, again, we were, you still have to run procurement, and we have a staff of 3, which is crazy small for our task for a city of 150,000 people and about 1,500 employees. That's a very small group, but it's taking the opportunities when someone's process of doing it on their own fails or creates pain. Certainly don't jump on top of them and scream, "Ha, I told you so." But take that opportunity to show that that's where their pain is, separate from procurement, and we're the happy place, we're the solution. And that's how you're going to slowly win them over. Fix their problems.
So true. Yes, it's just such a great way to show value by not pointing the finger or ridiculing something goes wrong, but rather saying, "Hey, didn't go the way we wanted it to go. Why don't we use this as an opportunity to show you the value we can bring to working together?" I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have any words of wisdom that you would share for anyone who is trying to head this way?
For anyone who knows me out there, this is going to sound funny, but humility. It's something I try to call myself out, and I have people who I'm grateful will call me out when I'm not. And what I mean by that is I'm not alone. I would never be effective if I'm alone. I have to appreciate my staff. We always have to work together to understand the needs of the end users. Hearing what your end user has to say, because they do know things pretty well. And they have great ideas on how to execute even our policies and our processes. And the other thing is reach out. We're part of a community. I'm guessing the reason I came to mind was because how many times have I reached out to you? And for those who know Valerie, you know what I'm talking about. For those who don't, she's absolutely amazing. But I've got people at Denver and the state and other cities, other states. I will reach out. I shamelessly will steal ideas. Of course, asking permissions. I guess it's not stealing. Look at every different application and program. I'm constantly searching, and I'm constantly willing to change. I don't know everything. And the more I search, the more I realize I don't know, but the more I grow, and it's fantastic, right? Change is constant. Absolutely. Like there's nothing we can do to stop that. But we can navigate it. So if you've done whitewater rafting, right, you can either let the water just do what it's going to do because it's gonna, or you can try to steer away from the rocks, right? So just embrace that and get that to the end users, right, as a value add. Let them step out. And if they don't want to change and it's going to change, let them get in the boat with you. Get excited. What do you want to do? And go bigger than you thought. Let's fail together, right? We get to a point in our careers, I think we certainly do in procurement, those of us who've been here for decades, and even our end users, right? 30 years, no one wants to feel incompetent at their job. So they don't like to be told what they're doing is wrong. But if we can remind ourselves and others when we were first learning, when we were stumbling, when we were messing up, when we were passionate about it, when we were clawing to grow, that's such an exciting place to be, and like being children again, right? So I think creating that environment gets people excited. You get lively, get some energy. So those are the things I would say is think outside of the box and push yourself and everyone else to.
That is wonderful advice. And I do have to say, yes, you called me a few times or emailed me, and that is partially where I thought of you. But every time you call or reach out, it gets me thinking about something in a new way. I always relish the opportunity to talk to other people who are doing new things and innovative things and reframing problems and just trying to bring the most value and do the best thing for their people, for their communities. And so I'm so excited that we have the opportunity to get your energy out to our greater audience, and now you'll have a lot more people who you can possibly be hearing from or you can reach out to. I think that's just one of the most fantastic things about public procurement. So again, thanks so much, Aaron, for taking the time today, and best of luck to you on your continued journey of building central procurement.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Valerie. I appreciate the opportunity.
Hello, my name is Kevin Yin with RadioNIGP, and I'm here and honor to be interviewing Bobby Matthews. Um, so, Bobby, thank you for being here with us. Would you, by way of intro, would you just share a brief statement about yourself?
Sure. Good morning, Kevin, and thanks for asking me to be with you this morning. It is my honor to be here. My current position is Director of Administrative Services for the Port of Portland, and procurement is one of the departments that reports to Administrative Services. Gosh, my career in public procurement started 43 years ago, right? I hate to say that, but it's true. With the city of Fort Collins in Colorado. And so I've had the opportunity to serve government in a few different agencies, city, state, and then in a transportation district right now. And looking back, I've been a member of 3 NIGP chapters throughout my career, served on some NIGP committees, including the NIGP Board of Directors, and was NIGP president. So that was a wonderful experience.
And and not to mention an NIGP fellow now for quite some time.
I think fellow, yeah.
So for our listeners and viewers, would you share an aha moment in your career, something that you done for our profession, or something that you could have done differently in your career, and lessons learned, or the impact that was done as a result of that?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. I think one of the things that I wish that I would have done earlier in my career is to really embrace new learning, right? I was somebody who was not necessarily a joiner, right? I was like, oh, that's for other people. It's really not for me. I don't have a lot to contribute. And I will say, through the prompting of a few people, including Rick Grimm, I started getting involved in NIGP, and really came to find that there was something to offer, and I got as much out of that involvement as I think I gave. So that was one thing. I would encourage everybody to get involved as much as they possibly can. I know it's a little bit challenging in today's times with shrinking resources. I think the other thing that was really pretty evident early on, or as the evolution of my career sort of took place, was really becoming a strategic partner with our client base. And when I first started, it was like kind of an us and them mentality, and definitely with the vendor base. And now it has really evolved into, putting together the procurement strategy together, trying to get involved earlier. And that has really, I think, served us well, both when I was with ODOT and now with the Port of Portland.
Yeah, it is an amazing thing, because we're told to keep arm's length, but the private sector has embraced this collaborative partnership with the vending community for so long, for much longer than we have in the public sector side. Would you share one aspect that is a benefit to have this collaborative effort?
Yeah, I think we cannot be experts in absolutely every discipline that there is, and especially as now we're starting to mix disciplines. I mean, what procurement takes place anymore, you don't have some element of IT. It used to be construction was construction, and now most of our construction projects, at least at the port, from parking to runways, has some element of IT in there. Yeah. And so you really need to have that understanding as things continue to be more complex. Great example, some alternative construction methodologies. Mm-hmm. Those are partnerships with your prime contractors, and they turn out great.
Yeah, with the engineers and then the construction folks working together and folding in IT and all of that, just so that everyone is working as one for the benefit of the community ultimately. And I have to say, though, just as a personal bias, I think PDX is the best airport all over the country. And so, I mean, I think it's a great airport. It's convenient and it's easy to get around, and the food is awesome in the airport without being charged an arm and a leg. So
we really appreciate the plug, Kevin. I think I was actually gonna bring up our current project, which is a CMGC project, and it's a little over $2 billion. We're doing a complete renovation of PDX. It's a lot of elements. So we've included design, but we're also looking at, bringing in elements that are beneficial to our traveling public. So we've introduced a sensory room for people and children who have sensory issues that they can go in between, and then we're also bringing in diversity in the workforce. We're bringing diversity into the concessions that are there. So that's those partnerships too that go beyond just the vending and the contractor community, but other elements of, social justice within contracting. And that is also something that's, evolved over the time that we've been here.
Yeah, and I just remember, just as another plug, I remember when PDX pulled in the street food vendors into the airport. What an amazing idea. And again, great food at reasonable prices. And so there's a method to that madness, and I appreciate all the strategic planning and work that went into that for the traveling public. Well, thank you very much for being with us this morning, Bobby. I so appreciate chatting with you, and goodness gracious, I've known you forever, and
right.
And I so appreciate you being here and sharing your lessons learned and some of the work that you have done for our procurement profession. Thank you very much, and to the rest of you folks, thank you for joining us. This is Radio NIGP.
Hello, Radio NIGP viewers. This is David Nash, and today we're doing an interview with Brian Smith in our Innovator series. And Brian, could you go ahead and introduce yourself for our audience, please?
Hi, everybody. My name is Brian Smith. I'm currently the purchasing manager for Multnomah County, Oregon, and I've been in that position for about 15 years, and with Multnomah County almost 31. And also recently started working with NIGP Consulting, and that's a lot of fun as well. I have gotten several professional certifications. I was in one of the first groups for the NIGP CPP, and I also hold the the CPPO, and I also hold the PMP certification, Project Management Professional.
Wow, that's tough to get. Brian, can you tell us what is one of your favorite professional accomplishments?
I actually think one of my favorite professional accomplishments was the first construction project that I got to work on was a $320 million bridge, the Selwood Bridge replacement project that we did about 8 years ago. And that was, my background is in program planning and design, and I come out of really human services, contracting and programming. And so to work in the construction arena was a very different experience for me. And that was really the first opportunity I had to be involved with lots of engineers, lots of construction firms. And to this day, when I go to my parents, I get to drive over that bridge, and the satisfaction that you get about looking at a bridge or seeing a building that you helped to build is really a unique thing and in our profession. And it's very different. I've also been parts of procuring and contracting and overseeing large human services systems, but it's a very different thing on the construction side. So And that was my first big one. So I was really happy with that. And to this day, I get to drive over the bridge and go and say, "Oh, I helped build that." So
And it's still holding up.
it's still holding up.
What advice could you offer to our listeners who are looking to grow in the profession?
Well, I think you're already doing the first one, which is watching videos and being involved in NIGP and other professional endeavors, your local chapter, because this is none of us is doing this alone. And I think reaching out for the education, for the support, and because others have been there before you have. And this is one of those things where, as particularly as some of us get up on years, and we are focused on teaching and mentoring and bringing along the next generation of people in our profession, there are so many people who want to reach out, support you, support your career, but you got to ask. And we are fortunate in that even from 10 years ago, there are far more avenues for you to be able to reach out and ask for assistance. And just thinking in the last year with the concierge service that NIGP put out there, I've had two of my staff do it, and fantastic program. I wish I had had it many years ago. So, but those are the kinds of things. If you're interested, if you've got the attitude, you want to grow in this profession, there is a place for you. And but reach out and ask, because people will be there for you.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. Finally, you got a particular thing that you feel is the secret to your success?
The secret to my success is actually my team, and that is one of those things that I appreciate. I'm very much a generalist by persuasion, and so I know little about a lot of things. And one of the things that I've found is that surrounding yourself with a team of people who are a lot smarter than you are in a lot of other areas makes all the difference. And putting your ego aside to work with others on shared goals is something that produces just absolutely better results than you can imagine. And so certainly as a hiring manager, I've always wanted to hire super competent professionals and let them go, let them do their job. And when we're working on team goals and team projects, I love the diverse team that I get to work with. And that's both my direct staff, but also my clients within my organizations that I get to work with as well. Because that having diversity in all of the aspects of diversity, I think really helps us to that's when you get the strongest outcomes. And I think that's really been the secret of success on all of the projects that I've worked on.
Cool. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate
Thank you, David.
Your insights and everything, and being certainly being an innovator. Okay, folks, we'll I hope to see you again on a future episode of Radio NIGP. Bye.
Thanks.
Happy holidays, and thank you for joining another segment of Chapter Updates. Many of us have a special place in our hearts for the Chapter Ambassador Program, but I love shining as many lights as the Griswolds have on the team. This month marks the end of the Chapter Ambassador term for 4 of us, and I hope you will all give special thanks to Sean Carroll, Kara Daniel, and the Munch, Bill Munch, who along with me will end our current journey as ambassadors. The Talent Council's Pipeline and Placement Committee worked diligently to fill our stockings with our replacements, and this month we introduced the new ambassadors and hear what brought them to the team. We will also meet the fairly new at-large ambassadors, 3 individuals who support the team by filling in when there are visit conflicts, vacancies, and at other times. Last but definitely not least, we will spotlight the incoming chair of the ambassador team, who works hand in hand with Jennifer Steffen to help lead the team. Please watch to meet them and enjoy getting to know these delightful, talented people who will be supporting your chapters. They truly are a gift to our profession.
Hi, I'm Jamal Turner of the Maryland Transportation Authority. I am your Area 2 Chapter Ambassador. I look forward to sharing my perspective on procurement and being a resource to all Area 2 members. I look forward to seeing you at regional conferences, forums, and any meetings that may be out there that you'll be a part of. Again, I am Jamal Turner, and I look forward to seeing you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Michelle Palmer. I work for the City of Owen Sound as the Senior Manager of Strategic Initiatives and Operational Effectiveness. I've been a member of the Ontario Public Buyers Association, the Ontario chapter of NIGP, for about 15 years. Super excited to be a chapter ambassador for NIGP. I'm looking forward to meeting everybody in Area 3. I'm most excited to share what's going on between the chapters. So learning about what each chapter is doing and sharing that with other chapters so that we can all provide more value for our members, sharing what's going on at NIGP for in regards to the education that they're offering. I think that's really beneficial in terms of continuous learning. And I'm just excited to meet all of you. Looking forward to it. Thank you.
Hello, folks. My name is Russ Pankey, and I am a retired member of NIGP and retired in February of 2023 from the city of Virginia Beach. Prior to that, 3.5 years or so working there, I worked in the Kansas City area for about 30 years, and most recently from there, retired from the city of Independence, Missouri. As far as chapters, I am a member of VAGP currently. I am a member of the Chesapeake Bay chapter, which is having some struggles. It's a brand new chapter. Some things have changed. So we'll see how that goes. I am also a member of the Missouri Association of Public Purchasing, which is MAP, and I'm still a member of formerly MACPP, who has recently changed their name to MKCPP, which is now called MOCAN, Council of Public Procurement. So I'm a member of 4 chapters, and I never know when to stop, I suppose. Let's see. The thing that made me want to be involved as a chapter ambassador was the fact that I have been involved with NIGP for a number of years. Pardon my dog, he's over here bugging me, of course. And most recently termed out of 6 years as a member of the Talent Council for NIGP, and then decided that I was not quite finished giving back. And that's the whole reason I got involved on the national level with the Institute to start with. I felt like that I was gaining so much experience, knowledge, and lots of networking and meeting lots of folks through NIGP that I felt like I had to give back as just a way of saying thank you. So that's the reason I have served and volunteered for many years in not only the Talent Council, but other committees. And the opportunity to be a chapter ambassador at large was great for me because it gives me a chance to continue to give back, go back and see folks I once knew, and to meet lots of new people. So I'm really happy about that opportunity. As far as what I've looked forward to sharing with those folks and anybody that I meet with, the at-large position, for those who may not know, at-large means that any given time when NIGP chapter ambassadors need a representative to go someplace in North America and we don't have a regular chapter ambassador available, they can contact one of us at large and we can go and fill in that gap. And I've had that opportunity to do more than one time. Um, but the thing that I like to share the most is first ask questions about what their needs are, and then to share from my experiences. That doesn't mean I have the answers to everything. Nobody does, but I have a lot of experience, and I may just have touched on the thing that they need to know most about. And so I'm always happy to be able to do that. I always want to share the latest and greatest information and updates from NIGP, and then to talk about any kind of training that is available through the Institute. And I'll offer myself as an assistant, as a help to them as the chapter. So they always get my name, my phone number, and my email address if they need to contact me. So I'm thankful for that and opportunity, and thankful for this opportunity to visit with y'all today.
Hi, my name is Fatima Calkins. Work for the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority since 2006. It's almost 18 years. I've been a member of the NIGP and the local chapter of Central Florida since 2004. And I really enjoyed, what the NIGP and chapter offer us. Saying that I have about 40 plus years of experience in procurement, which 23 of them is in public procurement. Why I wanted to be an ambassador? The reason is because I've been a very active member within my chapter, Central Florida, since 2008. I can say that I was one of the ones that started the mentoring program within our chapter. So that's my baby. Also, I have experience with the internship. Both of them were born at the same time. I developed it and implemented the program. And with that, I just kind of learned to identify the needs that our members were dealing. Some of our members didn't know what the chapters and the NIGP offered them. So I start promoting, all the opportunity and also it gave me an opportunity to do the network, which I'm very proud to say that I'm well known within my chapter, within the state of Florida, also with the NIGP, because by doing the mentoring, I start, talking to other members of the other chapters, and they were kind of inquiring about the mentoring program. How did it work? So I kind of start sharing, all my knowledge and all the documents that I created for the mentoring program, which I'm very proud of. It has been very successful within our chapter. And that gives me the reason that I am involved is because by volunteering, I earn points, and with those points, I utilize them to to pay for my certification for my CPPO and my CPB. So I was my obligation to give back to the to the members, and I didn't want the members to feel the way that I felt when I started. That you didn't know where to go, what did the chapter means, to our member, and what the NIGP offers to us. So by saying that, I wanted to share that experience that I had. What I'm looking forward with by being an ambassador is to share my expertise and knowledge and to promote all the opportunities that the NIGP offer to us. There's a vast opportunity. I know that a lot of people doesn't know where to start, where to go, and I think that it is our responsibility, to give to our new members. New generation, I will call, because I consider a baby boomer, and I would like to leave a legacy that I pass all my knowledge and I promote the public procurement within my. Thank you, and this is a great opportunity for me, to share all about myself and about also my experience. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Lisa Robbins here, currently with Johnson County, Kansas, in Johnson County, Kansas, working as Senior Procurement Specialist. Been with this agency now for almost 3 years, but have over 16 years experience in public purchasing. So have always kind of looked to NIGP for guidance and direction. So at this point in my career, I thought it was a great opportunity and great timing to try out my hand at the chapter ambassador role. I have big shoes to fill. And that's another reason that I became interested in this role is how I've seen other chapter ambassadors benefit the chapters that I'm a member of. So currently, I'm the vice president for the Kansas Association for Public Purchasing Professionals. I have also served as a Pro-D chair with the MACPP, which is the Midwest chapter that kind of brings Missouri and Kansas together. They are now known as MOCAN. So I've been a part of some different chapters and had some different opportunities that have just allowed me to move within my passion for purchasing and procurement. I am a professional who's very interested in striving for value-added decisions and innovation. So, looking for industry leaders in those spaces and always looking to learn new information and bring that to my peers, so the purchasing folks that I work with, and then expanding my reach a little bit with the chapters and that membership that's involved. And looking forward, and really what this chapter ambassador role will provide is that opportunity to give back. I've worked for some agencies that do not fully support certification, and sometimes have had to go out on my own to find resources. And so that is when the chapters have been very integral in my success. And so I just want to be able to provide that for other people who are seeking a career path or who may be on this path already and looking for direction, just to give them some resources and some tools to be successful. And to continue supporting this profession as a legit career, and really a great way for you not only to earn a living, but also a great way to give back to your community and folks who are out there living day to day, working their job, but maybe not aware of all the different programs that local government might offer. So just very passionate about giving back and really looking forward to meeting the Midwest chapters, understanding what those needs are, and working with NIGP to bring resources to these chapters in the Midwest. So thank you for listening, and I look forward to meeting you all soon.
All right. Hi, I'm Lori Noyes. I am the current Area 9 Chapter Ambassador here in Arizona. I am a member of the Arizona State Capitol Chapter, and I am currently the Procurement Manager for Valley Metro as a transportation agency here in Arizona. I am excited to take on this new adventure. I have been wanting to be a part of the Chapter Ambassador since I attended my first forum that was held in Virginia. And I saw everything that was going on and it's like, I want to be a part of that. So I found out how I could be a part of that. And I kind of did it the roundabout way and started as a secretary at my current chapter and worked my way up. So I held a secretary position and then I ran for vice president. I held the presidency in 2022. And now I am chapter ambassador. I had the privilege of being one of the selected for the Chapter Ambassador at Large program that was introduced this year. And that was a really nice way to get my feet wet and prepared for this new adventure that I'll be taking on. I wanted to share with a lot of chapters on for me, having the chapter ambassadors support really is unique for our association. So a lot of associations, you have hundreds of members, but you don't really get any unique one-on-one FaceTime, and you don't get anyone that you can go to with any question, like no question's too small. So I hope to bring that as an ambassador to NIGP. So if anyone has any questions, no matter how big or small, I would like to be that person that you can come to and find those answers.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Bill with the Oklahoma Association of Public Procurement. Now, I would tell you what agency I was with, but I'm one of those fortunate guys who decided last April to retire. So I really have no agency, but I'm still involved with the organization. I decided to become a chapter ambassador because over the course of my life, I've had a lot of different experiences that I think that definitely help chapters. And so I'm at the stage in my life now where I like to give back and assist. So through my accounting background, procurement background, and everything I've done, I think I have a lot to offer. And so instead of having those talents set on the shelf, I asked to be an ambassador so I can share those experiences. So regardless of what hits you, I'm able to come in and provide some type of assistance. I'm looking forward to sharing me, my background, my experiences, and also hopefully my positive attitude so we can all be very successful in what we do. Again, I'm so happy to be a chapter ambassador. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Lori Newton, and I am your incoming chair of the chapter ambassadors. I'm really excited to be here today, and I'm going to start serving as the chair of the chapter ambassadors in January of 2024. I have been a part of the chapter ambassador program for about 3 years. It's been a really exciting opportunity for me to engage with the board and other members of NIGP. I am a past president of the Virginia Association of Governmental Purchasing, and also am a member of the Capital Area Purchasing Association, as well as the Chesapeake Bay chapter of NIGP. So I have been engaged with NIGP for quite a number of years. I was really excited to become a chapter ambassador about 3 years ago. And at that time, I was coming off in my presidential year of VAGP, and I wanted to look for another opportunity to engage. Therefore, I submitted my application and was selected as the chapter ambassador for Area 2. And at that time, I felt it was really important to be able to connect with all chapters of Area 2 and be able to engage in their activities and be more involved in what they do. I currently participate in all of the chapter meetings, and I try to attend just about 100% of their on-site events. I have recently participated in the events in Maryland and will participate in their installation of officers alongside Rick Grimm. So I'm excited to be a chapter ambassador. I'm looking forward to 2024. Thank you for having me on today.
Hello, and welcome to Radio NIGP. Today I have with me one of my dear friends, Ginger Line. Ginger and I met at Forum 2016, and I will tell you the power of networking because we met and we went to dinner that night and we had such a good time. We've been friends ever since, and I look forward to every time we get a chance to meet each other again. So when we're looking for ideas for interviews, I instantly thought of Ginger. And so welcome, Ginger. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, thank you. And yeah, we met in a class that day and we decided to go have dinner, and the rest is history now. But I am Ginger Line and I work at Sourcewell. As of December 30th, I will be a senior procurement analyst at Sourcewell. I've worked there for 15 years, and so I've done a variety of positions and departments there. You might have seen me at a trade show or presenting at Forum. I'm also a past president of the Minnesota NIGP chapter. While there, I did various board positions. And I am currently a chapter ambassador for Area 6 for National NIGP. And I've previously sat on the Board of Examiners for the UPPCC for the CPPB exam. I assume in this crowd, I don't have to spell all of those things out, but so that's a little bit about me.
Wow, you've done a lot already, right?
more to come, hopefully.
So, Ginger, what is one of your favorite professional accomplishments?
You know, this is maybe not an expected answer to this question, but as I thought about what is my greatest accomplishment, I have certifications, I have degrees and things like that. I've sat on boards, and those are amazing things. But what it all came down to is taking that first step. And that is really my best accomplishment, is being able to take that first step. And some of those first steps included saying hello to Christy in a class and making those connections. Or it is asking someone who I know has taken a certification and received it and said, how did you do this? What are some tips and tricks you could give me? It's taking that first step and applying for a volunteer position. It's walking into my first chapter meeting and saying hello to the people around me. Those are all a little bit scary things. And I'm very much an outgoing person, so most people would say that's an easy thing for me. And it really isn't, because when I came into procurement, I didn't know that everyone fell into it. I was like, they know way more than me. They've been doing this for years, and some of them, of course, had been. But they had been where I was at one point. And so taking that first step, saying hello in a class, or, again, walking into a chapter meeting and just saying, yes, I'm going to go to that chapter meeting today, and I'm going to maybe raise my hand and ask a question, or I'm going to raise my hand and say, yes, I would love to be on that committee, or be potentially on that board. And that has really been the most significant accomplishment, I believe, in my career, is just taking that step.
That's awesome. And I agree with you. That first step is scary, particularly when you're entering a new profession. I mean, I actually started in procurement 12 years ago here in just a few days. And that very first job, I started off at a mid-level procurement person, and I'd never done one before. So it was a little scary, but look where we're at today. The things that we've done and the people we've met and the people that we've touched and helped grow. So thank you very much. So thinking now about all of our viewers and how they are looking to grow, what advice would you give to a viewer who wants to continue to grow?
And it is taking that first step still, and it is making connections. I feel very privileged to have made connections all across the country, and that is from potentially just reaching out to an instructor after a class and asking a question and, asking them to be your mentor. It is reaching out to someone. Recently, I had reached out to a couple of people that I got to meet this way and asked them for advice on, a few struggles I was having. And they're in Arizona and Illinois, right? And they're not next to me. They don't have the same statutes that I have, but guess what? They were full of great advice, and I have connections. I'm not going to name them because I don't want to leave anyone out, because that's not who I am. But, it's Manitoba to, Idaho to Mississippi to Maryland to Virginia with Christy, and it's kind of all over the place. And it is reaching out and asking that question. If you're concerned, where do I go from here? What is my next step? Who am I, or how am I coming across to other people? Reach out to those people that you know from a chapter, the forum, whatever, even someone in your local organization, and just say, hey, can you help me? Can you mentor me? Can we connect? And I also want to say, they don't have to be someone who is older than you. It doesn't have to be someone who has been in the profession a lot longer than you. It can be people, as I have, that are younger than me, that are older, that come from all walks of life. And you really want to make your tribe, your people, be diverse in that respect, so you can get different opinions. And so it might be saying hello to the person next to you in the class and introducing yourself. It might be going to that first chapter meeting and getting to know people in your state or area. And so that's what I would challenge everyone to do, is to reach out, in the next couple of weeks, to someone that maybe you met once, you got their card, and you never reached out to them again. And just say, hey, haven't talked to you in a while, wondering how things are going, or even something as, have you done an RFP for this? And can you give me any advice? And build your group of people that you can reach out to.
That's awesome. I love how you did a slight little plug for our mentorship program. And remember, NIGP does have a mentorship program, a formalized one, even though many of us were doing it long before. That reaching out, and you were talking about networking classes. I will say that I encourage all my students in our virtual classes, because you have access, it's so much easier to network with people going forward that you've met in classes. And actually, my last 2 classes I taught in November, I literally had students from East Coast to the West Coast, from Florida to Canada. So we have such a huge group of people that we can network with to ask questions. Then I'm going to throw in another little plug. I'm going to plug about Insight, because that's another great resource we have to reach out and ask those questions to get help, because you may not know who has the answers. So thank you so much, Ginger. It's truly been a pleasure having you. And I hope you have a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you. You too. Good to see you again.
Hello, welcome to our December program. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Matt Bauer, who has been recognized as one of NIGP's most impactful leaders. Matt has blazed many trails with his approach to the public procurement profession and his implementation of many innovative best practices throughout his career. So Matt, welcome to Radio NIGP.
Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be on there. Long-time listener, first-time caller. But no, it's good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, I don't have a horn to beep or anything like that, but I'm glad you're here. So, Matt, I've known you for a very long time, and was delighted when you moved to Florida to take over as Vice President of Procurement for Tampa International Airport. And for those of you who may not be familiar with the Florida scene, the Florida Association of Public Procurement Officials, fondly known as FAPO, a respected sister organization of NIGP, annually sponsors a best practice award competition for our members. And Matt, Tampa International Airport has been winning one of FAPO's 3 best practice awards every year for as long as I can remember.
We've got a great team here.
Well, positive transformations just seem to follow you wherever you may be. And you've been at the forefront of many innovative new best practices throughout your career. My guess is that there probably are a few of these best practices that are among your favorites. And if you had to identify a favorite best practice today that you've been involved in over the years, what would that be?
I guess just the best practice that I think that's one of the more underutilized best practice that's near and dear to my heart is really the use of reverse auctions. So I know it's not a new thing. It's, there's a lot of agencies out there that have heard of them, that have maybe even implemented the use of reverse auctions. But I also see it as probably one of the bigger opportunities in the government procurement profession, is fully utilizing reverse auctions as a solicitation method, because it's another tool in our tool belt. So I'm sure for most of the listeners out there, they're probably pretty familiar with what a reverse auction is, but really a reverse auction, think of it like eBay. So eBay is what's called a traditional forward auction, where you have one seller and you have multiple buyers bidding up the price. Under reverse auction, it's the opposite, where you have one buyer and multiple sellers bidding down the price. And so over the years of utilizing reverse auctions, we've learned a lot of things in that they're really a dynamic tool that you can utilize on a lot of different products and services, and seen some pretty significant savings by utilizing those.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about the background on your specific use of the best practice for reverse auctions, and what issue you're trying to solve in your organization, as well as some of the details regarding the planning, implementation, and the ultimate success that you realize as a result of using this particular best practice?
All great questions. So, it's, reverse auctions, it's not going to be utilized on everything. But one of the things that reverse auctions really allow you to do is, through a traditional bid process, a vendor will only have one bite at the apple, one opportunity to put their best price in. And a lot of times you'll get bidders who put in pricing that are very close. And had they had the opportunity to know that if they sharpened their pencil or got a little bit more aggressive in their pricing, they may have been able to lower their price and win the business. And really that's what reverse auctions allow you to do, is you get your respondents who are qualified prior to going to that auction event, and they are competing to win the business. And that's where you really see the really successful reverse auctions, is where people really want your business and they're willing to get more aggressive in terms of their pricing. And this kind of originally came up for me way back in 2009. And at the time, I had been working at Maricopa County. And so for those of you who've worked in public procurement in that time, it was downturn of the economy. There was lots of fluctuations in certain prices. Like right then, the biggest thing that was a stumbling block for us was fuel pricing. And so for years leading up into it, into the 2008, 2009, price of gas, at least in Arizona where I was working, had gone from like $1.70 a gallon to over $4.70 a gallon. And I was in charge of doing a solicitation for bulk flour. And so at the time, I had been at the county maybe 6 or so months, and the price of gasoline dropped dramatically. Well, if you think about flour, it's this basic commodity, and it's not all that expensive, but the cost of flour is really tied a lot to transporting flour, because it takes up a lot of space. And when you're buying 283,000 pounds of flour a month, costs increase from fuel going from $1.70 to $4.70 a gallon made a huge impact on our fuel prices. And so at the time, prices then dropped dramatically. So went from $4.70 right back down to $1.70. And so in that time period, I was tasked with going back through my contract to see where I could then renegotiate pricing. And flour was a huge expenditure for our sheriff's office. And so we decided we're going to try and renegotiate and get pricing down. Well, the contractor flat out refused to do that. And so we ultimately canceled the contract. And in doing so, we were planning on just doing it as a bid. And, I just got my undergraduate degree in supply chain management over at ASU. And one of the big things they had talked about was, e-procurement technologies and reverse auctions. So I remember going to my boss at the time asking, what about using reverse auctions? Have we ever done that before? And his response at the time was like, yeah, those don't really work in government procurement. We tried it like 10 years ago, and it fell on, it doesn't work for government. And I go, well, okay. I had only been there for like 6 months. So, what did I know? I mean, you read things in books, and, I don't know if they in actuality, all those things will translate when you actually have to do the work. And so then I thought about it over that weekend, and I came back into my boss's office and I go, I was really thinking about this again and why I feel like flour would be a great opportunity to do reverse auction. There's multiple people that can provide this exact chemical breakdown for flour, and we're going to get great competition because I've already talked with some suppliers who are interested. And the long and short of it, after we talked for about an hour, he goes, "You know what, Matt? You're still on probation. So if this doesn't work out, we can always find another person from ASU right down the street." So I think he was joking. We weren't, I was very new. And so, I was like, okay, well, I gotta go forward with it. And so it really kind of got me into the process of identifying how to do that and how to build a solicitation that will work under reverse auction. And a lot of the way that you do a bid is very similar to the way that you would do a reverse auction. And so, it took a lot of planning to develop that solicitation draft. But once that was built, and we found a reverse auction provider who was willing to thankfully do it for free just to get a trial out, we put it out on the street. And within and the way that the reverse auction was done at the time was it was over a 2-week period. I don't recommend that, but that was the system that I was using at the time. And within an hour, we got a bid. We were paying 38.5 cents per pound. The first bid came in at 37.5 cents per pound. And when you start doing the math, that's like a $50,000 savings right there. And I'm going, oh man, when this closes in 2 weeks, it's going to go so well. We just got to keep on getting these bids in. It's going to be great. And then, so the next day, no bids. The next week, no bids. And so we're getting real close to the bids opening. And about 2 days before the bid closed, the reverse auction closed, I was sweating thinking, oh my God, I'm going to lose my job because I was so gung-ho on doing this reverse auction thing. And finally we got a bid in and it was 34 cents a pound. And so 4.5 cents. And I'm like, okay, that's like $100,000, $120,000 savings. At least I'm not going to lose my job. At least I can say it wasn't something that wasn't going to work. And then radio silence until about an hour or two before the auction closed. And it's kind of like when you think about eBay. Everyone waits till the last, right before it closed to start putting their price. And that's exactly what happened. So we ended up getting 20 additional bids on top of that. And the price starting out at 38.5 cents per pound went all the way to 19.5 cents per pound. And we ended up saving $975,000 on that contract alone, just for flour. And the funny thing is that contractor that refused to negotiate, they're the ones that ended up winning the bid. And so when I call that contractor up, he's just like, I understand. There's nothing else you need to say. So that was the start. And so we started looking at everything we could do that we usually did as bids through reverse auctions. And we even expanded that even to some employee benefits contracts. We did life insurance that was hugely successful. We ended up saving almost $7 million in premiums, as well as additional insurance for our employees. It ended up winning us the 2013 Innovation in Public Procurement Award for utilizing reverse auctions on benefit contracts. And so since then, it's just, continuing to look at this as an opportunity. It's not that you have to use it on everything, and we don't suggest you do that. But it's just another tool in your tool belt.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. So I guess some of those things also, sorry, Keith, just to again, it's not something that you want to use on everything, but it's just something that you should be looking into, because this, again, you need to make sure that we're doing everything you can to spend money as best you can. And if you ever have any questions, anyone who hears this is interested in learning more, please feel free to reach out.
Matt, that's great. I want to thank you for joining me today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. Well, this is Keith Glatt speaking, and hoping that you'll join me soon for another episode on Radio NIGP. And I'm reminding you that this is Radio NIGP.
Good afternoon, everyone. Kirk Buffington with Radio NIGP and another update from the fabulous folks at NIGP. This afternoon, we have with us Terry Winter, who is our Director of Events and Program Delivery. And we're going to talk a little bit about some new initiatives that NIGP has introduced in regards to professional development and getting the schedule down and planning ahead. Good afternoon, Terry.
Hello, Kirk. Nice to see you.
Thank you. So, tell us about the initiative with the calendaring of professional development classes that are available and how that can work to the benefit of both the members and their agencies.
Sure. So, we have lots of new professionals coming to the profession now, and our profession is evolving, right? So it's never been more important for folks to get the training and education that they need. So that's one reason why, for our members' convenience, we've created this NIGP professional development calendar, which is a comprehensive list of courses that are available, virtual instructor-led and in person. And this calendar right now runs through June of 2024. However, we are adding courses for the first 2 quarters of fiscal year 26 in the next few weeks. So you will have an opportunity to plan for a whole year, which is super important, right? We want folks to plan ahead, which helps you with budgeting, right?
Absolutely.
Folks are going to be doing budgeting. Most of our members, I feel, are on the July to June fiscal years, or if they're October, now's the time to be thinking about how you're going to spend your money for the fiscal year. So we want you to have that opportunity to help with budgeting. Planning ahead also will save you money. So we have a new initiative. We call it the 60-20 rule. And for NIGP members who register for an NIGP hosted class 60 days in advance, they can save 20% off the standard rate.
Wow,
so that's
great.
a savings. Yeah, it's a savings between $30 and $125 per course, depending on the course. So this can really help folks stretch their training dollars and their budgets, right? So that's super important for the members. We also want to give back to our chapters. And, we have had chapters in the past who have hosted courses. Before COVID, lots of chapters were hosting courses. Now that has been sort of pulled back. Some chapters are still hosting. And for those chapters who are hosting, they have historically received a rebate or an incentive of 10% back to the chapter to go back into their operating money, right? Help to support their members. This year, in July, NIGP rolled out the Learning Give Back program. Now, what that is for every registrant who identifies themselves as an affiliate of that chapter, when they register for a course, that chapter will receive 5% of that person's registration fee. So it's really, really important for folks to identify themselves when they check out, either online or on the registration form if you're sending one in to our customer care folks. It's really easy to do. There's a drop-down box on the website. And even if you're not affiliated with a chapter, if you know that there's a chapter in your area, maybe you're not a member, but you know of them, pick them, select them, because they can reap benefits just simply by members and folks who are taking professional development selecting a chapter when they check out. So that started last quarter, was this fiscal year. And first quarter of the year, we paid out over $3,000 to about 41 chapters.
Wow. That's amazing. I mean, that's such a great thing for NIGP to do, to again help the chapters fund initiatives at the local level without really having to expend a lot of their own resources to get a little bit of a give back. So I think that's an amazing initiative on NIGP's part.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know that we're, our chapter leaders, our Pro-D chairs, our education chairs within our chapters, we're all stretched, right? There's only so many resources, so much time. And so this is an opportunity for them to simply say, hey, members, there's the calendar, go out and plan. You can reap benefits by taking that 20% if you plan ahead and getting that discount. And we as a chapter can earn some money to help go back into our funding our programs within our chapter.
Amazing.
It's a win-win.
Absolutely. It's so important for an individual to be able to map out where they want to go. And we, as you said at the top of the interview, there's so many new members coming in. There's so many folks coming into this profession that have a passion for the job, but don't really know how to move ahead.
Sure.
So I think both from a budgetary perspective, but also from the individual being able to say, all right, if I want to be an NIGP CPP by this date, these are the courses I need to start looking at and planning to take as I progress toward that goal. So I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, there's also our concierge program. If folks are not familiar with that, we do have a workforce development section on our website that folks can go to. They can put in what their current level is, maybe what their title is, or what role they play within their entity, and it will tell them kind of, okay, you should be looking at this or looking at that. The concierge program is high touch. So Todd Slater, our director of content development, and others, Cheryl Mankey, who many of you know, is involved in that. So there's some one-on-one coaching that can happen. If folks are interested in that, they can reach out through our website to get more information on the concierge program to help them plan.
Great. I've referred a few people to the concierge. Again, you know, when I'm in training sessions and people come up and talk to me, it's like, well, how do I get to this point? And I think that touch of the concierge program is really valuable to a lot of folks.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen really good results for folks who have participated in that, both entities and individuals.
All right. Well, that's great, Carrie. Anything else you'd like to share for our folks in our December broadcast?
Well, it's December already. I can't believe that the year is over. So happy holidays, everybody. And, you know, really, why wait until January to start those resolutions, right? Start now, thinking about what professional development goals you have for next year, for calendar 2024, and hope everybody had a great year, and looking forward to definitely providing more education and more professional development and more events. Leadership Summit coming up the first part of the year in 2024. So thanks for your time today, Kirk. And if folks have questions, please feel free to reach out to me or anyone on our events team or our content development team.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Carrie. I appreciate your time and this discussion about professional development and how to plan to get ahead by planning ahead.
Yep, absolutely. Thanks, Kirk. Appreciate it.
Thank you. So again, Radio NIGP, Kirk Buffington with Carrie Winter. Thank you.
Hello, this is Charlie Rossell, Radio NIGP, and I am with my good friend Nathan Dawson, i.e. Beauregard. For those that don't know Beauregard, go to forum, tune in, because he is the man. He is my lawyer for Here Comes the Judge. Anyways, Nathan, thank you for being here. And if you can, you know, who do you work for and what do you do?
Sure. Thanks, Charlie. Thanks for having me. And I'd just like to point out, as Beauregard, I am 2-0. So, hello, everybody. My name is Nathan Dawson. I am the Procurement and Contracts Manager for the South Carolina Office of Technology and Information Services, which is basically the state's IT department. I've been here since May. Before that, I worked at the school district for a year, and before that, I was with the state's centralized purchasing agency.
Awesome. So for all you folks, we are interviewing. Radio NIGP is interviewing various procurement professionals within NIGP, and one of the names that top the list is our good friend over here, Beauregard. Beauregard is also an NIGP instructor. So if I know recently he was in, I believe, Chicago at Cook County, did some classes there, but he also does a lot of classes online. So in essence, you know, Nathan is one of our pioneers, as we want to put in quotes, our pioneers for public procurement. And we have a few questions we're going to ask Mr. Beauregard, and we're going to get this thing started. So the first question I want to ask Nathan is, what is one of your favorite professional procurement accomplishments?
I think you probably get the same answer from everybody. How we responded during COVID, I think, was a shining moment for everybody in procurement. At the time, I was with the state agency, and we sort of got activated and worked around the clock, calling people all around the country and all around the world to get that equipment. So I'm really quite proud of being a part of that effort to keep things ticking along. On a more personal note, before the 2020 election, I had to help our election commission buy some poll books to be used at the polling stations, which when they started when they started on the news talking about all the states that were having issues with their polling stations, I was stressed. But South Carolina didn't get mentioned, and so it all worked out really well. So that was good too.
Gosh, look back at COVID, right? 2000, was it March, April 2020? It seems like forever ago, but gosh, those times it was absolutely insane. And man, hopefully never go through that craziness again.
Right. But I think a lot of good's come out of it. Supplier relationships have gotten better for us, and
absolutely.
And I think we showed that we can work remotely and do things. So, but I agree with you. I don't want to do it again. No.
Yeah, not just supplier, in my opinion, supplier relations, but working with our colleagues, networking across the country and within your state, just to say, hey, how are you doing things? So I think that networking connection with with each other has improved too.
I agree.
So what advice do you have for our viewers on for a viewer that want to grow within NIGP or even with our profession?
I think you just hit it on the head. I think building that network of people, and the way to do that is to get involved. Get involved with your state chapter. Get involved with NIGP. Attend classes. Speak up at these classes. Reach out. And I get it, especially when you're new and you feel like you walk into a room and everybody knows everybody. But I found everybody I've met has been open and welcoming, and everybody's willing to share their stories and steer you and give you advice. So really that's it. Say yes to any opportunity that presents itself, right? Every day is a school day. There's always something new to learn. So be open to those opportunities.
What I just heard was for some of the folks that are a little skittish, or the new folks out there, Nathan just said, come see him, and he's going to get you moving in the right direction, right path.
More than welcome. Bring it on.
Yes, same here, buddy. Hey, you know what? Well, let's tag team this thing. So like, I don't remember how many years have you been in the public procurement world? 7.
Mm-hmm.
I think like a lot of people, we kind of stepped into it. Not many people go, for this purchasing degree or whatever you want to call it, right? So as you started your career, who influenced you the most, and how?
Well, I got really lucky, right? Like you said, everybody sort of falls into it backwards or by happenstance. So I'm a recovering attorney. I was a lawyer in Australia, and I worked in England as a lawyer, and I couldn't do that here in America, so I had to pivot. I was working for a state agency as a hearing officer, and someone said there's a job going at our centralized purchasing agency in procurement. I didn't know what it was, but luckily for me, Kimber Craig is the lady there who's amazing. She took a chance. I had no procurement experience, and she gave me that opportunity. So I'd say she influenced me the most. But what really happened that got me really lucky was I was sharing office space with Stacey Gregg and Stacey Adams, which are two names everybody knows. And they were the ones that really sort of encouraged me to get involved. And all those things I just said, I was lucky that I had someone or two people there, here's what NIGP is. Here's what your state chapter is. Do this, volunteer here, become an instructor, become a presenter. So, I just super fortunate that it just sort of worked out for me that way.
You just mentioned two names that are probably two of my favorite people, within NIGP. So like here in Ohio, I call Miss Barb Johnson Miss Ohio. Well, you just mentioned two Miss South Carolinas right there. So for those that don't know, Stacy Adams and Stacy Gregg, please get in touch with Nathan, get in touch with me. We'll get you in touch with those fine people. Two fantastic folks. So, my friend, hey, I want to wrap this up, but I got one more question for you, Mr. Beauregard. What is the secret? What is the secret to all this craziness and to your success?
Success is a relative term, right? But I think I enjoy what I do. I really do enjoy what I do. But I think, again, like I said, a lot of it was luck, just sort of landing in the right place at the right time. But since then, it's been what I said earlier, saying yes to opportunities. So would you be interested in presenting at Forum? Yeah. Would you be interested in volunteering on a panel or a committee? Yeah, that sounds great. So just being involved, that's really all it comes down to. Like I said, being willing to, when those opportunities present themselves, put your hand up and grab it.
Yeah, grab it by the horns and go. People there's so many resources out there, folks like you, folks all across the NIGP family that are here. So absolutely grab it by the horns and go. Well, listen, I do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're just been with your new role for 7 or so months. So I really do appreciate you taking the time. And for all those out there that have not seen Mr. Beauregard in action for Here Comes the Judge, tune in next year for the 2024 forum in Charlotte. Here Comes the Judge will be here again, and my good friend Beauregard, and hopefully this guy right here will be on the main stage again and having a great time and putting on a good show. So
that's the plan.
Mr. Nathan, thank you so much. I appreciate the time, and you have a great
Charlie. Pleasure as always, mate.
Thank you, sir.
Hello and welcome to Radio NIGP. My name is Bobby Tolston, and we're here with the Deeper Dive segment, Making a Splash. I'm so happy to have my best friend, my colleague, and someone who I admire very much as my guest, Rebecca Key. Thank you for joining us today, Rebecca. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming. So on our show today, the theme is shining a light on those that are not normally in the spotlight. And when I received the list of potential guests and I saw your name, I was so excited and I knew that I was going to choose you. Rebecca and I have worked together on several projects. And when we attend the national conference, we tend to kind of hang out together and connect and spend quality time with each other. And I so much look forward to that. So with our theme today, I have a few questions for you. Okay. So before we get started, tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, as Bobby said, my name is Rebecca Key. One of my besties is Bobby. And I started my career, like most of you, sort of accidentally in procurement. But I started in Arkansas and just sort of worked my way up. Had the opportunity to go and work for someone who I thought could teach me, but I had to leave the state and go to Arlington, Virginia. And from there, ended up at Virginia Beach as the CPO, which was absolutely wonderful. But I've jumped out of procurement mainstream and over into a cybersecurity job for a nonprofit, helping procurement folks and IT folks with governmental cyber. So it's been quite a journey, and I've really enjoyed every moment.
Oh, wow. That does sound very interesting. And we'll have to take a moment later and catch up so you can tell me more about that exciting job. And it does sound exciting. So, Rebecca, I have a few questions for you for our segment today. So, tell me, what is one of your favorite accomplishments professionally?
Well, I always thought my accomplishments would be sort of a list of awards, right? Joke's on me. I've never received an award in procurement. But what I learned very quickly, and particularly as the CPO at Virginia Beach, which maybe it's because it's the most recent, but in having a full team of procurement folks, and lucky enough to have, the positions for almost every type of role that you really need in procurement. My accomplishments were that team, watching them achieve their goals, move on, whether that meant out of my department and off my team or out of the city. I'm watching new folks come in and learn and achieve those goals. Every one of those folks that sort of did that, I feel like I have a part in that. And that I feel like is my greatest accomplishment.
Thank you so much, Rebecca. And just listening to you and reflected on my own career in public procurement, I would have to agree with you because I am a teacher and a student. So as I learn, I teach. And as I teach, I learn, right? So having folks that you lead to be able to do that for and watching their growth. My greatest accomplishment is when they promote, whether it's internal or external. And they reach back out and I get a chance to see what they've accomplished. That just warms my heart so much. So yes, I agree with you. So one more question. What is your secret to success?
I think you kind of hit on it earlier just now, with this constantly being a student, right? I felt like I needed to learn. And I spent my career learning because I never felt like I knew it all. I never felt like I knew enough. And I think most procurement people feel that way.
Yes.
What I did early on was, instead of chasing the next job, chasing the next promotion, chasing the more money, I found jobs that had people I thought I could learn from. Whether they were colleagues or supervisors, I looked at the job and said, is this someone who is willing and able to teach me things I don't already know? And I think that helped my career an enormous amount. And I don't regret any of those jobs, not for a second, because every one of them taught me.
Thank you so much for sharing and shining a light on those that are not normally in the spotlight. Thank you for joining us today. And I'd like to say to my audience, happy holidays and wishing each and one of you a prosperous new year. Hope to see you back here again real soon, especially in the new year, 2024. Take care and enjoy.
Hi, welcome to Radio NIGP. I'm Christy Varda. Today I have with me Terry McKee and Penny Owens. And we wanted to interview Terry about all of his accomplishments and what he brings to NIGP. Just a little background. I actually met Terry midway through my career as we served together on a task force to write the best practices for procuring technology. And that friendship and growth has happened since then. I still get to talk to him once in a while and see him. And so that's how I met Terry. But I wanted to toss it to Penny because I know Penny's known him a lot longer than I have.
Thanks, Christy. So I've known Terry, I guess, about 16 years. I know Terry through our local chapters. We're members of both East Tennessee Purchasing Association and Tennessee Association of Public Purchasing. And Terry, through my involvement with both chapters, I think sometimes Terry has voluntold me. Locally, Terry was chapter president of ETPA for several years, and I've been the webmaster, so we've worked together through that avenue. And then Terry, through his involvement with NIGP, managed to pull me along, and so that was really the impetus for my involvement at the NIGP level.
I have been known to get people involved in things against their will, Penny.
So Terry, would you mind just introducing yourself to us and tell us, tell everyone where you work and, how long you've been in procurement?
So this very month marks 35 years for me in government procurement. I started in 1988, November, with Knox County government when I became their purchasing agent, was the top position at the time, now called procurement director. And then after, I think 7, 8 years, I moved to Knox County Schools. Then after about the same amount of time, I moved to my current job and probably my last job, Knoxville's Community Development Corporation, which is not an arm of the city as it would sound. We're associated with the city of Knoxville, where Penny works and leads their procurement operation. And they give us some grants, but we are not part of them. We are the Public Housing and Redevelopment Authority for the city and the county, which is a little unique. And we have 3,600 apartments and 20-ish redevelopment zones. In the grand scheme of life, we're small. In housing authority circles, we're considered large with 3,600 apartments. So I've had a wonderful 35-year career like anyone else with some ups and downs, but I can't imagine any career I would have enjoyed more.
Terry, so tell us, with that long of a historied career in public procurement, what is one of your favorite professional accomplishments?
That is really hard to answer, to try to condense it down. And I'm actually going to go a different direction than I thought based on what you all have said. I think looking back on my career, one of my favorite things has been hopefully bringing people along and giving them some informal mentoring and being a resource for people. I know I've voluntold Penny for many things. I've helped on numerous task forces and usually drew people into them. And I've also, here at KCDC, we started an internship program, I think 5 years ago, and I've had 4 interns. And 3 of those 4 are now in public procurement, one with the city, one with me, and one with the University of Tennessee. So I think in my broad answer, one of my best favorite accomplishments is bringing people along, increasing professionalism, and helping my colleagues and peers. And then conversely, learning from them. As I said at a recent conference, I learned from my interns. It's not the baby boomer teaching the interns, it's us teaching each other. I learned things from my interns that could be my children. I'm at that stage of life. My interns could be my children, and I've learned from them. So I don't know what direction, what you had in mind, but that's the direction I went.
Well, that's wonderful, Terry. And I know that you also are sometimes an instructor and do presentations and such. So this is a great opportunity to, what advice would you have for our viewers if they want to grow in this profession?
So that answer goes way back to my original undergraduate degrees. Believe it or not, I was trained and certified as a teacher. So my mindset goes to professional and otherwise, we need to always be growing and learning. So once we stop growing and learning, and that takes different flavors, different meanings to the 3 of us, not to mention thousands of procurement people. But once we stop doing that, we're stale, we're old news. So I would encourage people to constantly learn. That doesn't necessarily mean an NIGP course. It can and it should, but it also means reading everything you can get your hands on, attending every webinar in IGP or otherwise. We want to be, it helps us to be broad, have a broad knowledge base. And I would encourage people to look into things like Governing Magazine, American City and County, NASBO, and so on, and learn what you can from the federal government on down to local governments. Read, attend, and then volunteer. I learned a lot of what I've learned volunteering to be on task force, global best practice teams, committees, local, state, and federal. I don't necessarily bring a lot to those committees, but I go away with a lot because everyone does procurement a little bit differently. And I learned from this in our local, I learned from the city, Penny, the county, Matt Myers, and various other local governments around here, long list. I won't bore the listeners with that. And also learned from friends like Christy in Virginia and Utah and California. So you want to serve, and you'll come away with such knowledge. It's not about us learning or about us teaching. It's about us learning from others.
Well, I happen to know from personal experience, you bring a lot more than you give yourself credit to when you are actually volunteering with us on the various things that we all do to support not only our local chapters, but also NIGP as a whole. Thank you so much for meeting with us today, Terry. We truly appreciate your time.
Thank you, Terry. I want to say thank you for the friendship and the informal mentorship over the years and even some of the voluntolding, I suppose. So thank you for all you do for our profession.
My pleasure. Thank you all.
Hello, everyone. I'm Linda Lair, and I'm a staff member for Radio NIGP, and I have the distinct pleasure today of interviewing Stephanie Dion. Stephanie Dion is a Canadian colleague, and she's going to talk to us about being procurement professional on the go, because she's been on the go a little bit. She's worked in the Yukon at Whitehorse. She moved to Red Deer, Alberta. Then she moved to Winnipeg to Manitoba Hydro. Then she went to Manitoba provincial government, and now she's moved on again. So the question I have for her is, based on some of the changes over the years, could you share with us, Stephanie, what some of the challenges were in those moves, and maybe give us an example?
Well, good day, everyone. Thank you for having me, Linda. Really pleasure to be here and collaborating with you again. So as you stated, yes, I've had I've been on the go a fair amount in my career, and I'm very grateful to have been able to do so. A few challenges that I've encountered along the way, obviously, cultural changes between entities. So there's different entities have different operating frameworks. For example, in the Yukon, everything was contract A bidding. And in Alberta was my first exposure to true practice in non-contract A paradigm. So it was a very drastic change for me. And I had to learn by practicing, making mistakes and redoing it again. So that was one big change for me. Also, not all entities are equal. So the level of sophistication and practice is different in each entity. For example, Manitoba Hydro, when I started there in 2017, was just starting to operate within the confines or the umbrella of trade agreements. They were exempt. They had been exempt until then. So that was a change to have to discuss this with colleagues and bring the level of expertise in the organization working together. So those are some examples of change.
Wonderful. Now, not everyone may know what a contract A is. So do you want to just give us a brief description of that? Because those of us in Canada probably know what it is, or hopefully we do, but our American colleagues may not know what that is.
Yeah, it's a legal concept that means that when you're in contract A, the offer that you receive is irrevocable. And also you don't have the ability to negotiate. So those are two of the biggest staples of contract A. So everything must be just so, or else it leads to non-compliance or non-responsiveness of responses. So it's much, in my professional opinion, easier as a professional to operate in a non-contract A using flexible formats where there's less chances of litigation, gives you a little bit more flexibility to be able to negotiate, and also to let someone walk away should there be a problem before contract award without having to go to court. So those are some challenges and differences between the two. So contract A, more what you would see in a typical construction bid situation, and then flexible formats allowing for negotiation and a revocability of offers.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. So you really mentioned two big challenges. One was an organizational culture, because you mentioned every organization is different. They've got their own way of doing things. And if you're the new person coming in, you're trying to sometimes fit a round peg in a square hole.
Absolutely.
But also different levels of government because you've moved from city governments, municipalities, through to the province. Now, I've worked under the same thing, and dealing in the provincial or state equivalent in the US, really policy driven and much slower response in a lot of cases. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure. It also depends on your at your level and the willingness of the entity to change, right? So, when I went to the province of Manitoba, for example, the procurement policy was over 20 years old. So there was a very strong need to want to change it as much as possible and as fast as possible, because the way that it was drafted and was not reflective of current practices, trade agreements, and best practices in the industry. So although sometimes it can be slower, sometimes landing in the right place at the right time, for me anyway, has provided an opportunity to be able to redraft that policy in my time there, because the need and willingness to do so was present. So I was very lucky to be able to do that.
So would you say that it's fair to say that when you move into a new organization, whatever it is, that you need to take a little bit of time at the front end to actually figure out what their culture is and what their current status is before you can, start being a procurement professional and considering making any transformational adjustments or whatever?
Yes, it's very important to do that and to be aware of where you're going, right? What do they need? What do you bring? Why do they bring you there? And so having these conversations up front, and being all open and honest about what I'm looking for or what one is looking for, and also what the reality is when you get where you're going, because it may not always be clear where things are at. The culture may be really strong. The need may be really high. There could be some internal politics or HR issues that are going on that may not be apparent right away. So absolutely taking a bit of a step back to see what's going on and try to find a few low-hanging fruit of things to do for sure, and bring suggestions to the table. But can be very challenging and not always apparent right away what the reality is where you land. So take some time to learn and to listen and to hear what people are saying, and to observe what others are doing, because there's lots of knowledge in the colleagues that are in place within the organizations that we are going. So
some great points and some good advice for anybody considering making a change, whether it's within their organization by promotions or moving out and moving on somewhere else because they've now kind of hit that wall where they feel a bit constrained. But I got a last question for you. What do you see in your future?
That's a great question, Linda. My current boss asked me that as well. And right now, I'm actually really, I'm having fun. I'm really happy where I am. Back to do what I love. I'm the procurement manager for Canoe Procurement Group of Canada. And I see this as a tremendous opportunity for me to give back to the organization, to help raise their profile, and also contribute to doing the same for our members. So I'm back to do what I love. My sleeves are up, and I'm doing what I do best, is get to work and get stuff done. As my boss says, just get it done. So I'm having a really great time, and I'm very lucky because I have the support of my supervisor and senior management team at Canoe Procurement Group. And so I'm right now, I'm not really thinking what I'm going to do in 3 years from now. I'm thinking about what I'm going to do tomorrow, and I'm really having a great time doing it.
And that's a great place to be, being happy at what you're doing, because we spend too much time at work to not be happy doing it, right?
Absolutely. And I'm very happy to be in an environment that is drama-free and that really enables me as a professional to just do what I do best, is to provide my best advice for procurement.
Wow, that's wonderful. Stephanie, I'd like to thank you so much for joining me today. Any last comments you have?
Yes, I just wanted to say about my current employer and where I'm at in my career. You may have heard me say before, I didn't land here from the start. Others have given me opportunities in the past and mentored me and provided me avenues to rise and shine. So I feel it's my turn to give back to the profession and to my entity. And I'm very fortunate and grateful to be able to do that today.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for
Thank
joining
you.
me today. Stephanie Dion and Linda Allaire, procurement professionals on the go from Radio NIGP.
Hello, friends. As we shine a light on our fellow unsung heroes in procurement, I wanted to take a moment and shine a light on those in our profession who continuously work to learn more and to help others do so as well. So let's shine a light on the NIGP instructors, webinar presenters, and mentors, as well as those members who participate in learning opportunities and continue to grow even as some are retiring. A huge shout out to all of you, our viewers, and more who diligently work to make our profession as awesome as it is. As we've talked about unsung heroes, did anyone come to mind? If so, let's take a moment and think. What are we going to do about it? How about give the gift of a thank you? Send a card, send an email, pick up the phone, and just let them know that you appreciate them and you value them and what they do each and every day. And with that, let me wish each of you a very Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. As we go into 2024, continue in the same spirit that you're ending 2023. Appreciate those around you, be kind always, and shine your light. May this new year and your heart be filled with blessings and great memories beyond measure. Until next year, friends, stay safe.
The solicitations were posted online with great care in hopes that proposals would soon appear there. So cheesy. Oh my gosh. I love it so much. Okay, bye.